Yetta, I believe.
Well, I believe. This is so good.
Moving forward with the Dekker Team. Moving forward together with the Dekker Team.
And we are grateful that you believe that you're getting value from the over 600. Well, it really is over six. Well, this is number 680.
It's a lot.
Right? At least. Because we've done some that never aired and don't even get me started on the issues. But the great news is we get access to insider tips, how to make house home and how to build wealth wisely through real estate by simply connecting together, by belonging inside community. And the great news is you can get them from pretty much anytime, anywhere because of current technology. It wasn't like that when we started the shows in 19 whatever. It just seems like
it was radio only, and now everything's YouTube, podcasts, social media. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is just another way that you guys can serve your clients and serve potential future clients too, right?
Because they can go back and re-listen to them, re-watch them until you're sick and tired of us. Well, maybe you are after one. Sorry. It is what it is.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. That's apparently a millennial thing, not a my age thing. But anyway, I have learned it.
We're sorry. We're actually sorry.
Go figure, right?
So Care is here from CHRI interviewing us, continuing the interview for this entire month. And we're winding down.
That's right.
And you still have more questions.
There's so much. I mean, I think a lot of people today, and I think especially young people, are looking for a mentor, a guide, someone to speak into them. And I remember someone telling me once, even an author in a book that you read, you may have never met them before, but that can be guidance. That can be a mentor to you.
Absolutely.
And so I know you guys talk a lot about wise counsel. And so we've been talking about faith up until this point here in this episode. And I want to know a little bit about, before we talk about wise counsel, a little bit about how your faith and what you believe has played a role in some of the high stake situations in real estate, some of the uncertainty. I mean, every business has it, every family has it, but can you speak some of your experiences, how your faith has played a role?
Okay, I get to go first this time.
Go ahead.
Okay, then you just hold on.
Fill your boots, so to speak.
It really is by stepping back and seeking wisdom from God, seeking wisdom from the scriptures, praying. We talked about in the previous segment, praying on behalf of our clients. That is something we can do with you when there's a shared faith or there's a prompting from the Holy Spirit. I'll risk it and do it regardless of whether they have a share of faith or not. And other times it's behind closed doors. And it changes, I believe it changes the outcome, especially, do I say only in high stakes situations? I think in every situation, because you never know when something's going to go south.
I remember we put an offer in on a house one time before we got the one we were in now, and we believed it was the house for us. And we prayed over this house, and we put our letter in with our picture of our family, and we believed it so much. And when it didn't come through, all we could do at that point was trust that because we had prayed and we were trusting God, that it meant that it wasn't the house for us. So I think it has to play a part in a way in all the situations, like you were saying.
Yeah, I think every real estate transaction and negotiations is high stakes because we're dealing with families and their income, their livelihood, their place of living, their lifestyle. And what we want to do is make sure that we, as in Yetta and I,
or Candace and Ryan.
Yeah, but we disconnect from the emotion of whether they get it or not. And then we'll pray God's will be done. We'll pray for that family. We'll pray for the transaction. And yet we're not emotionally connected to whether it works or it doesn't work. Now, let me sound a little cold, but what it does is it allows us to remain objective while the family is subjective, because, you got your emotions up, you got all excited about this home, you did everything right, you put the picture in, the family description of why you wanted the house, all of that, and yet sometimes it doesn't work out. And so I think if a realtor is more interested to make sure that it happens for their benefit as opposed to the family's benefit, that's when there becomes a problem.
Does it get easier to be okay with the outcome when you have that faith foundation?
Well, we actually
Yes.
know both sides of it, right? When it wasn't and when it was, because we didn't have faith when we started the industry or when I started. And I can tell you in the early days, I would stay up till 2 a.m, 3 a.m, shove people, push people, coerce people, whatever I thought was in the best interest. I wasn't attached to the money other than a short period when I was trying to leave Ken. So there was about a 6-month period where I lost traction altogether rather than the heart of service. So I don't deny that. However, even before I came to faith, I had a heart of service. I got into the industry from a service perspective. And yet, once I was of faith, I could relax a little because I knew I wasn't actually controlling the outcome. It wasn't up to me. I could do my best and leave the rest to God. And I didn't have that before. So I was way more crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it says trust in God for all the things that we need in this world, right? And then everything else will be added onto you. And so we don't have a concern whether if you don't buy a house today or tomorrow or next week
Or never.
we're still going to eat, or we're still going to be provided for. And that's the philosophy we have. It's the money will take care of itself when we take care of the people. And so that's our heart of service. And, like we said, we've told people that are thinking of buying, and we say, hey, this, and this, and I wouldn't if I was you.
Yeah.
And they'll pull back. Initially, they think, oh my goodness, they just talked me out of something, but then something better comes, right? And so it's just having that heart that the bracelets people used to have. What would Jesus do?
Yeah, well, and that's the wise counsel. It's where that comes in. You're saying, what would Jesus do? But also, you're getting practical help and answers from people who have expertise and experience like you guys. Now, there's a clarity call people can do, 15 minutes where they can just call, say, here's where I'm at. And what happens if you can't answer that question?
Well, then we're going to refer them to somebody that can, right? Like we're going to do an introduction to someone else. The clarity call is just that. It's clarifying your options, because then we do know their wisdom will flow. We say it at the end of segment B every time. It's the same basic concept, because we do know that people have the wisdom. They just need to have clear options.
Yeah, and options is where we're at. Because if we give you options, you can make a wise decision. If we want to put us in the equation, then we're not giving you all the right options, right? And that's the beauty.
And then you're leaning and relying on them to provide for you rather than relying on God to provide for you.
Absolutely. And when they'll say, well, what would you do? It's like, well, are you asking me to move in? And they usually say, no, we're not asking you to move in. Okay, so I will tell you the structure issues. I'll tell you what's up. I'll tell you the, inadequacies of the house. Like, we're going to go through all that, whether it's the right fit for you, whether you can take those things on or not. That's not a decision I get to be involved with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you said, Yetta, we're honored to be clarifying your options, because when your options are clear, your wisdom will flow.
Moving forward with the Dekker Team. Moving forward together.